What would you do if you had an uncooperative and unresponsive parent? What would you do if a parent demanded you change their student's grade or provide another chance? What would you do if a parent blamed you and sided with their student? What, you want me to wash your child? Join us for our best behavior tips on how to facilitate positive connections with parents and caregivers.
Hey, art teachers.
Hi, art teachers.
I'm Liz Brent, and I'm a secondary art teacher in the Chicagoland area.
I'm Kyle Wood, an elementary art teacher in the Chicago area.
Story time about a parent that I could not get in touch with and just wasn't receiving responses from. So I had a student who was struggling in class, was not putting forth much effort, was doing poorly. So I started to email that student, but also included the parent and their counselor, say, hey, you did great this week in this area. However, you are still missing these assignments specifically, and here's what to do next. And I would send this every week with little pieces of things that they still needed to do to remind them, and also their current grade. As they submitted work, I would send out an email that said, hey, great job turning this in. Here's your current grade. Let's keep doing this. The parent actually responded and just said, thank you. I hadn't received a response at all, so it was just really nice to hear from them. So I think that consistent communication about something that wasn't just negative really helped to get them to respond. Welcome to the Art of Ed's Draw the Line, where we share the wild and tricky behavior situations art teachers face every day. What would you do if you had an unresponsive or uncooperative parent?
This can be really frustrating. Just like we meet students where they are, we gotta meet parents where they are. If a parent or caregiver is not able to tackle a situation, you have to recognize that, but that doesn't mean you let them completely wash their hands of the situation.
I would look for adults in the building who has a relationship with that student, like a coach, a mentor, a former teacher, somebody who knows their situation and can give you a little more insight into it as well.
I had a student a few years ago who was consistently disruptive. And when I reached out to the parents, they said, look, it's a school problem. I'm at work, I can't come in and discipline them at school, you handle it. It wasn't what I wanted to hear in the moment, it was the truth, and I had to work with what I got. I told that parent I really appreciate that they trust me to handle the situation, but that if the student got the idea that they didn't care about school performance, then it would undercut what I was doing. So I asked them to simply indicate to the child that we're a team working together on the situation and mention the fact of our conversation, and I would take it from there. I think the fact that my request was so minor and reasonable made that parent a little bit more inclined to help me out and have that conversation with their student. From that day forward, there was a change in the dynamic, not only between me and the parent, but me and the student. That was the last time I had to have a conversation regarding behavior concerns with that parent.
I lean a lot on my surveys from the beginning of the year. I ask questions like, what are the students' likes, dislikes, hobbies, jobs that they work, activities they're involved in, what they may want to be when they grow up. So little things to help me get to know them a little bit better. With my newsletter, I send a note home asking parents to also fill out a survey about things I should know about them or their student and how I can best help.
Okay, so a beginning of the year, get to know the teacher kind of email newsletter can be great to help you put your best foot forward, but what if you flipped that with a get to know the student email? Focus on kindergarten families and those just moved into the area, and try to take a picture of that student smiling as they're working on their first project in the art room. Then send their parents an email saying how they're doing so well on their first day in your classroom, and ask if there's anything you should know to help that student succeed. Those transition times are always difficult, but families will remember that you took the time to show you cared and checked in on them. I like to send home notes sharing good things I observed on various occasions. Those positive interactions build goodwill. If you only reach out when there's a problem, parents are going to start to form a negative association and dread opening emails from you. If, on the other hand, they are used to seeing pictures of smiling children and a kind note from you, on the rare occasions when you do have to reach out over a concern, they're going to be happy to help you fix that so they can get back to the good vibes flowing in their inbox. What would you do if a parent blamed you and sided with their student?
One thing a parent might blame a teacher for and side with their student on is their student receiving a grade lower than an A or a failing grade in art class. I always remind my parents that their student is graded with a rubric. They have to display technical skills, show craftsmanship, show effort towards the work, and that means that they have to put put in the work every day during studio time. Introduce yourself at the beginning of the year with an email or newsletter, opening yourself up to communication from the parent early. Explain grading and expectations early on, but also just to allow them the space to speak to you and start a conversation and make them feel more involved in their child's education. What would you do if a parent said that art class doesn't matter?
I would start by asking that parent, what subjects do they think matter? And what are their expectations for their students' future?
Emphasize that art class teaches problem solving, discussion techniques, imaginative thinking, and analysis.
The arts are about more than just creating decorations for the museum. Art is the product of human creativity. It is the process of innovation, and shutting down our learning of artistic skills and creative problem-solving skills will severely limit their options for the future.
All of these skills are necessary in the real world and will help students achieve the goals that they have, no matter if it's art related or not. There's a great article with a helpful download called 6 Ways the Visual Arts Boost Student Success. Head over to the Art of Education magazine to check out this article for the next time you need to have this conversation.
Promote your program, showing not only the cute pictures of students working and smiling or the masterpieces they've created, but also highlight the concepts they're learning about, the skills they're practicing. How do you promote your program? The Art of Ed magazine has tons of articles with ideas on how to set up effective displays, creating a newsletter, a website as a centralized hub for parents and guardians to check in on what's happening in the classroom. All of those things can be great, but my secret, I actually just let parents do it all. I recruit parent volunteers to help me out with things like hanging up displays of artwork, because that's gonna get me some face time with some of the most active and engaged parents. And while they're hanging up those masterpieces, we get to have a conversation about the amazing things that I saw, and they're just blown away by the work students are producing and the things they are hearing from me. Then they talk to their friends, and the word will spread organically throughout the community about how amazing your art program is and the wonderful things students are learning.
What would you do if a parent was angry about their student coming home dirty from art class?
My first thought is to respond with what, you want me to wash your child? Thankfully, there are lots of resources at the Art of Ed that will actually help. Like a recent magazine article about the SOLVE framework. When you anticipate a difficult conversation, the SOLVE framework tells you to stop, listen with open ears to what the parent is trying to say so that you can locate the root issue. Then verbalize potential solutions together and establish clear steps to go forward. In the case of a parent concerned about messes, usually it's more about ruined clothing than it is about dirty hands or a smudge on the cheek. Getting defensive might help you feel better by deflecting the blame, but it's not going to solve the problem. Listen with the goal to understand and work collaboratively for a win-win outcome. Try putting an art smock on the supply list for all your classes and make it a routine for them to wear their art smocks every time they come to art. You might consider just keeping a bin of old t-shirts that students can borrow anytime they feel a need to protect their clothing. Give pre-alerts when you expect a project to get messy. Be sure that in that email, explain the objectives of the lesson to counterbalance the hassles of the mess. In class, warn students of the potential hazards and show them strategies that can minimize the mess. And of course, be sure to allow plenty of time for cleanup.
What would you do if a parent requested more finished or original artwork?
The purpose of school is learning. With the limited time we have in class, we focus on practicing and learning key concepts, skills, and techniques. While I would love to see finished, highly refined artworks, it's not a realistic expectation for every student with every project. Some students miss days, they work slower, or they simply aren't yet capable of completing work at the highest level of quality craftsmanship. And that's okay, because the goal of class is to give them a comfortable space to try, practice, and grow. Framing the artwork is about more than just a border for display. It's important to conceptually frame things so parents and guardians can understand the goals of your art program and they can see how the individual lessons will help achieve those goals. If you're looking to improve how you communicate with parents, check out the ProPack Parent Communication. This series of professional development videos provides tips to start the year off right and strategies to handle the most difficult of situations. Likewise, hop on over to the Art of Ed magazine for a complimentary download that'll walk you through how to navigate any tricky parent communication like a pro. What would you do if a parent demanded you change their student's grade or provide another chance?
Validate their feelings of frustration and acknowledge their desire to support their student. Explain how there are standards for visual arts and how the rubrics we use in class tie to these standards. I think it's important to look at the artwork together, go over the rubric, which shows how the student is graded, and talk through each area so that that parent can understand why their student was graded the way that they were. It's good to have these grading practices put out in advance, but also to have frequent check-ins. So one way I do that is in the form of student works in progress, where they upload pictures each week of what they've done. You can actually forward these pictures that their students submit as a reference point for their grade. It's also a good idea to have students complete self-assessments so that they have a good idea of how they're being graded before their final grade comes out. Let that parent know that you feel for them in supporting their student, but also that you have high expectations that is also going to help their student in the long run. If you don't want to miss any more of our best behavior tips to help you draw the line in your art room,
be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Art of Ed.
Stay tuned for the next time where we'll address helplessness in the art room.
Drop in the comments below how you draw the line with parents and caregivers. We'd love to hear how you connect and build rapport.
Stay tuned and see you in the next episode.